Hey there, welcome to my channel. In this video, we'll be talking about Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's Archewell Foundation, and why some people think it's sketchy. Recently, there have been reports about the foundation's finances, and it seems that the organization used a charity giving service that is known as the black hole of charity giving. This service is used by very wealthy people to donate without really donating and getting a tax right, often situations where they may not normally get it today. We are talking about reports from the Daily Mail that did a little deep dive about Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's finances in Archewell. I did a whole video on this because when they announced how much money they raised, they said they raised $13 million yet only spent $3 million of it, and the obvious question is where's the $10 million? So now we have a little bit more detail on that because there were reports floating around that they got a donation of a flat $10 million. Well, apparently that's true, yet the organization they used to do it is basically called the black hole of charity giving, and a way for very, very rich people to donate without really donating and giving them a tax right, often situations where they may not normally get it. And so it just seems very, very sketchy, and that it just definitely pulls Archewell into disrepute in so many ways. If Harry and Meghan really want this to be a great philanthropic organization, the best thing to do is to handle everything above board, and that does not mean going with the Silicon Valley Community Foundation, which does actually very little for the community of Silicon Valley, and a lot for the billionaires and millionaires who live there. And although Harry and Meghan are not part of that official club, they're desperate to do that. And I think they're desperate in a lot of ways to shield their assets as much as possible. And this situation just once again, I feel like makes the Archewell Foundation look pretty shady. And Harry and Meghan as well, so we'll discuss a little bit this today. I'll share with you guys some of what I found when I did a little bit of digging as well. But if you guys haven't been here before, welcome to World News Network. Like I said, my name is Brittany, and on this channel, I provide compelling royal commentary about the latest news and a little bit of gossip as well. I am a somewhat royal expert. I've been watching royals closely for over 10 years now, and so I feel like I have a lot of information and background to bring to these situations. And I don't just watch the Brits, I watch all the other royals as well. I'm also a historian, so I have this great background and knowledge that I bring to royals of today. And so in addition to providing the great analysis, also be hopefully reviewing television shows and movies, and sharing a bit about history as well. And I'm inching closer to 100,000, so if you have watched this channel before and have not subscribed, please consider doing so. I really want to hit 100K by the end of the month, because in the early March, that's when I uploaded my first video to this channel, so I would absolutely love to hit 100K before March. And thank you so much for all the other people who have already hit subscribe. I just really do appreciate it. And I also have a couple other links for you to check out. I have a fashion channel, which is a little bit on hiatus, but should get back going in March. I also have a newsletter that goes out every Tuesday, Royal Wire, and just gives you a latest update on some news, a bit of colorful commentary, and some just tidbits about what's going on with royals that week. And I also have a trip coming up to the UK in London in the Cotswolds, so if you're interested in that, feel free to check that out as well. And before we get on to Harry and Meghan, just big shout out to Catherine and William. So they went to Cornwall today, the Duke and Duchess of Cornwall, as they are known there. So that is what they are referred to as while they are visiting. And this is a very critical relationship that William will have. He is the Duke of Cornwall, in addition to having his title the Prince of Wales. So actually, when the Queen died, the immediate title he inherited was the Duke of Cornwall. That designates him as the heir. In addition, the monarch can also bestow the title of the Prince of Wales to whoever is the heir. And so as the Duke and Duchess of Cornwall, they went and they visited a Royal Maritime Museum. In addition, Catherine also saw her history teacher, her old history teacher, and I guess they chatted, and she told him that she uses what he taught her and shares a bit of that with her children today. So that was just absolutely wonderful to see them out. and about Catherine was wearing this wonderful brown Hobbs coat with her GMB Taurasi boots, and there's not clarity yet on where the sweater and skirt came from, but it's been a very much a staple of Catherine's wardrobe now to wear this, so I think it's beautiful. If she could mix it up a bit, that would be awesome, like having a cooler, more unique or interesting belt. I think that would be kind of cool, but I do think it's a staple look, and it really works for winter, so I do really enjoy it. So back to Harry and Meghan, and the super sketchy shoddiness at his or 12. If you want people to donate to your charity, the number one thing is for it to be as above board as humanly possible. That is not the case with Archewell. To me, I just look at it, and I know what other non-profits do, and I'm like, you guys look super shady, especially because we had a couple weeks ago, they released their annual report, and what was not on their annual impact report, why any financial details whatsoever. That's just what you want, right? Where is your money going? Because apparently what they had done is they had sent a letter to certain members of the press, particularly amidst Gobi, saying, hey, we raised $13 million in a year, but we only spent $3 million of it. And so the question became, and everybody was asking, what happened to the $10 million? Because again, Harry and Meghan, they don't think cause and effect. They don't realize if they say, yes, we raised $3 million, and then we have $10 million floating out there somewhere, that people might wonder, where is that $10 million? Well, now we might have a little bit of indication of where it is, and it looks super sketchy, and there's a couple of options of what Harry and Meghan have done here, and I'm going to tell you which one's my opinion, but of course you can make up your own mind as well. So apparently they got one $10 million donation, so that was 70 or over 77% of their entire budget, from a place called the Silicon Valley Community Foundation. So what is that? When you read through their website, it's very much word salad. Not really, it's nonsensical in a lot of ways what they're saying, but they're basically community and donating. It's very much a left of center group, but there's a couple of organizations that have been watching this, and a whole article on The Atlantic about this company and how it's or foundation and how it's sort of kind of shady, and a way for basically billionaires to donate, and in a way hide assets and get a tax break at the same time. So this is what Influence Watch said. The Silicon Valley Community Foundation is a left-of-center grant-making. In assets, the foundation conducts most of its grant-making through donor-advised fund accounts established with oversight from individual donors, who can advise how their gifts are distributed for charitable purposes. So basically, if you are a very wealthy person, you can say, hey, okay, I want to give to a charity, so I'll give my money to you, and you can house it, and then give it off at a certain point. When I designate it, so it's not going directly to something, it's basically going in a charitable bank account that you can get a tax write-off from without actually really doing anything with the money. The SVCF has drawn criticism in recent years as a black hole for charitable donations, because IRS rules and the SVCF practice have allowed money to be held in DAF accounts for years, with no required minimum payouts to charitable organizations, as are required of private foundations. This allows donors to receive large tax breaks immediately before the donations benefit charitable causes. So this explains, to a certain extent, why we have $3 million that was supposedly spent and utilized within the foundation, and yet we also have $10 million sitting out there, and the ether, it's in this bank account, it's in this bank account, in this charitable organization, sitting on a shelf for when whoever designates it wants to go ahead and use it. That's what it's doing right now. The SBCF was rocked by scandal in 2018 when its largest fundraiser, Mary Ellen Logans, resigned amidst dozens of allegations of abusive management and sexual harassment. An independent investigation by the law firm Boies Schiller Flexner found a number of the allegations were substantiated, leading to the ouster of the former CEO Emmett Carson following an independent investigation. So what they had done, and according to other reports, is that they had been very, very aggressive about fundraising because they want to be the biggest charitable organization or foundation in the world that doesn't actually do much charity, really. And so they have been pressuring people so much that there was an abusive environment that got involved. And is it not a surprise that Harry and Meghan, who have been accused of filling go with a bullying for their charitable foundation, but we'll get there, hold on. And it goes on to say, in addition to managing DAF's SS conducts investment research, hosts public discussions, pushes for left-to-center policy outcomes, and generates special projects and initiatives within the Silicon Valley community. So again, Harry and Meghan, especially Meghan, very progressive left, so this organization very much fits with her philosophy. So if Harry and Meghan use this organization, and wouldn't be a surprise, SECF has drawn considerable criticism for taking in fund without distributing them for charitable purposes. In 2017, SECF assets grew by 64%. So it's talking about these organizations in general, the biggest of these collection of donor-advised funds in the region, and one that's been in the news frequently in Silicon Valley lately because of a media scandal first reported by the Chronicle of Philanthropy, is the Silicon Valley Community Foundation, which is also a grant maker to the Atlantic. Ironically, the foundation said in February that has $13.5 billion of assets under management, meaning that it surpassed the Ford Foundation to become the philanthropy with the third largest coffers in the United States. According to the Chronicle of Philanthropy, it has received billions of dollars in donations from dozens of tech titans, including the former eBay president Jeff Skoll, the WhatsApp founder Brian Acton, the Facebook co-founder Moskowitz, Netflix CEO Reed Hastings, the Twitter founder Jack Dorsey, the Google's co-founder Sergey Brin, and the Oracle founder Larry Ellison. According to Fourth, Mark Zuckerberg gave $1 billion in shares in 2013. Like any other community foundation, just about any city and lots of small towns had them. It is supposed to be helping local donors give to local causes, or as it says on its website, engaging donors to make a region and world a better place. But critics say that in part because of its structure as a warehouse of donor advice funds, the Silicon Valley Community Foundation has not had a positive impact on the community it is meant to serve. Some people I talk to say the foundation has little interest in spending money, because its chief executive Emmett Carson, who has left, as we heard in the previous report, who was placed on administrative leave after the Chronicle's report wanted it to be known that he had created one of the biggest foundations in the country. Carson was aggressive about trying to raise money, but unaggressive about suggesting what clients could do with it. When Silicon Valley non-profit head, who did not want his name to be used because he's still seeking money from the foundation, told me, most of us in the local area have seen our support from the validation go down and not up. He said other local non-profits, I love this, call the foundation the Death Star in the black hole because it is so hard to get money out of it. They got so drunk on the idea of growth that they lost track of anything. Smacking of mission did not help the perceptions that the foundation opened offices in New York and San Francisco. At the same time, local organizations were seeing donations drop, and even when it did give out money, the Silicon Valley Community Foundation often spent it outside of California. Last year it gave out $436 million in grants to the 9-county Bay Area, which was just 34% of the $1.3 billion in grants it dispersed. So it looks like this year, as well, they dispersed about $2 billion, which is insane. And perhaps it's doing some good, but I feel like there's still huge massive questions going on behind the scenes, as the Archewell Foundation did technically get at least in the list I looked at. And I just started with the A's, and I was naive and thinking, oh, we'll get there pretty soon. No, it's 20 pages and 30 pages in, and we're just getting to Archewell. So that gives you an idea of, I think there's 13,000 entries, it said, so I don't know what's top and what's not, but in terms of a huge amount of assets, Archibald was definitely at the top of what I was seeing as I initially started going through the list. And the question is, who donated that money? Now, there's a couple of options, because this donation is anonymous. It's anonymous, so somebody who's interested in supporting them. Ventures of Harry and Meghan may say, well, I don't really want to be associated publicly with them, so I'll get this donation anonymously. And the initial question is, why would you be embarrassed about donating to them? Although I will say I had somebody, and I set it up, so if I can, I'll link it in the description down below if you're interested. Somebody told me once that I should create something where people support the channel that's not through super thanks or something like that, because your name pops up and they don't want their name to be associated. And I was like, okay, that's totally fine. And I get it, because obviously this is a controversial topic, but Harry and Meghan are very much on the positive end of the new spectrum, meaning that there are progressives they give to progressive causes, and so therefore, they shouldn't have had that much. That the issue with them donating shouldn't be that big. So I understand, for example, a Hollywood type who is perhaps maybe nervous and doesn't want their name publicly associated with a conservative cause they're donating to, let's say a Second Amendment or something like that, that I completely get. But Harry and Meghan shouldn't have that issue. Everything they donate to should be praised infinitely by the media. So why would the donor be so worried about giving to them? And we know it was one single donation. Because in the list, if you go through, if an organization got multiple different donations, every little donation is marked. So if Harry and Meghan if somebody gave Harry and Meghan, multiple people gave them an amount that accumulated to 10 million, actually each of those would be marked. But instead, we just have one single donation. So either somebody anonymously put it there because they're gluttons. I guess you could said, oh, we'll just do this, we kind of like them, they're okay. I mean, Harry and Meghan pat themselves on the back for getting people a basket of bagels and 25 Starbucks gift cards to about 25 staff members, which is a couple of $100, maybe several $100s, like it's not that much money. Or they replaced the roof, which probably get the most, cost 10 to 15 grand. And of course, we also have Meghan taking a private jet flight to Uvalde, Texas, so she can walk over and have her moment in the sun while the nation is mourning the loss of children who were killed by a crazed gunman. Yes, that is exactly what you want your charitable founder to do. That's exactly it. So who gave this money? Now I know that's just, to me, it's like if you're wanting to raise your profile, if you want to actually be the philanthropist you claim you are, then you need to be transparent in your annual report. There's still absolutely no excuse for that. You needed to have financials in there. But again, I think this proves that they could not put their financials in there because their financials are embarrassment. They are embarrassed by their foundation finances because it's going so badly that they're not getting people to support it, that they're struggling to get money and funding and all these different things because they annoy people. People don't like them. And I think this year will be worse than last year. So what did they do? Well, they need this infusion of cash. That way they can siphon and pull from it and make it seem like they're raising more than they actually are. I mean, what if, for example, pretty much all the money came? Well, no, we know that for sure because we know it was like a 10 million because they reported it, and they do actual financial reports from this program organization. But again, it's to me just super sketchy, super shady, and another way for Harry and Meghan to try to pull the wool over people's eyes, to try to shift things around so people can't see what's going on behind the curtain, that we can't figure out what's going on because Harry and Meghan, oh, they raised $13 million, guys. We should be so impressed by their ability to fundraise, but of course they forgot that most people are smart people and think to themselves, if you raise $13 million, that you can only account for $3 million of it, where's the other $10 million? So now we have a bit of an answer to that question, but I don't feel like if you are a donor to Archewell, that answer should not satisfy you. I would be completely like, okay, so when are you gonna take that money out and actually give it to charities? When are you going to actually use